خب سلام دوستان، امیدوارم حالتون خوب باشه. فکر کنم اینجا منو بتونید ببینید. دلیل اینکه من شما رو خودم رو نشون نمیدم به خاطر اینکه من دارم یه اینترویو، قرار یه اینترویو داشته باشم تو 2 دقیقه دیگه، یعنی تا 1 دقیقه دیگه. میخواستم بهتون بگم که موقعی که اینترویو دارید صفحه اینترویو رو باز بکنید، سی وی تون این بالا میبینید، سی وی من این بالا هست، جاب دیسکریپشن این بالا هست و کد هایی که از من امتحان گرفتن این بالا هست. چیکار میکنیم؟ منتظر میشیم که تمام اینا رو بالا میارید، آماده میشید، 2 تا مانیتور درست میکنید. موقعی که چیز کردید میخواید اینترویو درست بکنید، 2 تا مانیتور قرار میاد که اگه سوال کردن از شما بتونید از این بالا جوابشون رو بدید و سعی بکنید بیشتر به این کامera نگاه بکنید وقتی که اینترویو دارید. Hey. Hi Ryan, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
How's life indoors?
It's just really boring actually. Stuck at home, not seeing anyone, not even seeing families. I live on my own.
Yeah. Oh wow, that doubles it.
Yeah, that was the pain. How are you?
Not too bad. I like working at home.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I miss going outside, seeing friends, but I enjoy working at home. On your side, there's the advantage that you don't have to, show up awkwardly at an office 15 minutes early and sit in the reception and
that's
all the tedious parts of interviews.
Yeah. That's right.
Nice. So how's your week in general? Are you still working full time at the minute?
Yeah, but the thing is business is down so much to the point because I work for a removal company. It's a company that removes the stuff from one place to another when someone wants to move. The business is completely down, if not mostly down, because not a lot of people moving now. Even if you want to look for a house, they're not even going to show the house to you. They are going to video call the house and show the video call.
True.
To you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's quite a.
So it's completely down. But what I'm working from home, building new features. The website they want us to do, it's halfway done. We are rebuilding the website from scratch.
Okay.
So migrating from old technologies to the new technology.
Nice. Well, that gives us a good start for something to chat about. What were the old technologies? What were the new technologies? How's the migration going?
The old technologies were the website was built 10 years ago when AngularJS was something. It's built by AngularJS, but the backend technology is built by Symfony.
Okay, yeah.
So we are trying to migrate it from like even Symfony to Laravel, but still is PHP, and front end is Vue.js. We use something on top of it, which is Nuxt.js.
Yeah.
So it's going really good, but the thing is they don't know what they want. We don't have proper like UX and UI. They constantly changing the interface. We have to redo it again. It's kind of pain, but that's what they want.
Are you what size of team's working on it?
Team is we are 12 people, developers only. So 4 of us are front-end developers, and rest of them, which is 8 people, are back-end developers. Other than that, we have UX and UI team. We have 1 tester, 1 PO. Scrum Master is also manager and also developer himself, but he's a back-end developer.
Oh, okay.
CEO sits in the office as well. The office is small, but we have marketing team in another place.
Oh, it's a big development team for.
Yeah, it's pretty normal size comparing to previous one, which was like 12. But we are a lot of developers actually. Because last time when I was working for TalkTalk, we were 12 people, including the UX, UI, and tester and QA.
Yeah.
So it's quite big for what we do. But the thing is that CEO wants the website to go on production as soon as possible. That's why he increased developers.
I get you. So, if you don't mind me asking, what's your reason for moving on? What do you want out of your next role, or looking for?
The reason is, like I said, it's kind of like, feels like a contract to me, because we have a contract saying the website is going to be done by June, and after that we don't know what's going to happen. They might like say we don't need you, or put us in redundancy and stuff like that. So I don't want to get to that stage.
No, that's good sense.
So yeah, that's why I'm leaving. But even the previous company I was working for, which was Talk, got us redundant. They moved to Manchester because of I don't know, it was Brexit, they say, but they moved to Manchester, and they said if you want to move to Manchester, then okay, if not, then we gave you redundancy package. So that's why.
Manchester's nice.
Manchester is nice, but I haven't like I can't even think of going out of London at the moment. You know?
Yeah. Cool. So what do you hope to get in the next role? Are you looking to learn anything? Are you looking to go in a particular direction? Or?
Yeah, I'm constantly learning front end, and at the moment a lot of front end technologies. But I've been back end developers, like PHP developers as well. But I want to be learning and going through the challenges to learn more about the new technologies. Like I know working for a company makes us go through the challenges, and challenges makes me to learn more about the technology. But other than that, I want to be a good leader one day. Like I want to review codes, know the code base, and go through the problems, and lead the team.
Nice, that's good to hear. So yeah, I'll just talk a wee bit about what we're looking for then, and that then kind of naturally flows there. So we, the job's advertised as a senior full stack developer, but what we really want is someone who is hoping to move into the leadership side of things. We want someone interested in owning the kind of projects, doing scoping, estimation, like really like being a lead in that. So it's good to hear. It's good to hear that.
Yeah, that's understandable, because lots of developers. I mean, not a lot, but I'm not going to be judgmental. But lots of people want to be like contribute and don't want to take the leadership and responsibility.
Yeah.
That's what I understand. But that's.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to hear that. Yeah, so what questions do I have next? Well, I'll just keep talking.
Sure.
Yeah, so we're a much smaller team in comparison. We are at the minute 4 full-time on the team, with anywhere between 4 and 12 freelancers on the team as well, depending on the projects. So we part of in every job try to keep someone full-time on the job as well, but we scale depending on our needs. So we might not have a full-time iOS developer, but if a project has a companion app, we'll get somebody in work that way. We try to make sure that we have the key skill sets in-house, and then bring in the other skill sets as and when we need them from freelancers, or better yet, have someone internally learn those skill sets. But sometimes time is a challenge there.
Yeah.
Rehab's been around for about 15 years. I've been here for 9 of those years. I took over the team last summer, and we've been looking to grow since then, but between Brexit and COVID, we haven't grew as fast as the team as we want to. So, and we had a few key members move on. So we're trying to get back to the place, get the right people in, so we can start to grow there again, and get back to the size of team we might have been before. Do you have any questions about the role or anything before I go on?
I wanted to ask. You as I was talking to HR in rehab, she was saying you got a lot of projects for different companies. And I want to ask, every tech stack for the projects, two projects are different, and who chooses these tech stacks?
Great question. It can come from different people for different projects. So in some cases, it's a client dictated thing. So for example, a lot of our Google projects, Google requires that they be on App Engine a lot of the time, especially if they're first party things. If they're going to live on a Google or with google.com domain, then they have to be built on Google approved stack. So that almost always is App Engine, and it's almost always Python on App Engine, because that's their choice. In other circumstances, like our Facebook work, all the work we do Facebook, it has to be on WordPress. So it has to be, it has to be built on WordPress, it has to be PHP, obviously, and then deployed through their cloud infrastructure. Other cases, some clients don't care. Some clients have their own cloud provider, and they go, we don't care as long as it runs in that cloud, and those kind of things. When it gets to us making the decision, two things: it's what's the best tool for the job, and who's the best person to do the job. And those two might not always be the same thing. So you might have the best person to do the job who doesn't want to build it in Node, or doesn't think Node's a good fit, or you could get somebody else, or you get the job that just so perfectly suits Node, so we need to find somebody to build it in Node. So it really depends. Part of what I hope this role would do would be make some of those decisions, based on what they think would be the best solution. We do have defaults, typically, but they are defaults defined by myself or by the people who are here working with us before and currently. So a lot of our active web projects are Python Django with React front end. Our voice and messaging platforms tend to be Node.js. They don't typically have a front end. Some of them do, and they've been varied. React, Preact. I think somebody did one on Vue, but that's a while ago. So I don't think we have anything in production with Vue. Other things, some of our Google work's been Angular. So it's varied depending on the project.
Okay. And then, so it is a discussion between the team and developers and yourself. That's what you're saying. Okay. Yeah,
definitely. What'll come down is we'll get to a point where we have all the client requirements. We know we need a back end. We know we need a front end. We know it needs to integrate with this service, and then it's up to us to fill in the gaps. If we think, if we want to put in one, back end web app to do everything, or if we want to put in a smaller web app that just serves the web app and then build Lambda functions or Google functions or whatever we want to build. That's those questions are for us to solve. So there's no one answer. But
okay, great. So when you say Python it's usually a Django framework you guys are using, right? Okay.
At the minute, yeah, that's a lot to do with me and a previous lead developer. We were both Python Django guys.
It's a great language. And in terms of
how do you feel about Python Django?
I love Python. I've worked with Python when I was learning programming. I think it's a great first program language, but I've actually never used Django to build a website. But I've used similar framework like Ruby on Rails before. I think Django is also great because it comes out with Python, which is really fast.
I think Django and Ruby have a lot to say about each other, because it's the whole batteries included kind of all in one.
Yeah, actually, Ruby on Rails was really famous, but then it came down. Now Django is to talk over. I knew this because of Python. Python is really powerful. But the other question I had was in terms of DevOps. When you want to deploy the code and go to production. You guys are using AWS, or the company has its own services you guys using?
Again, great question, and half the question I was just about to ask you. So we, again, same answer as the previous question. Sometimes the client will have their services or servers. Sometimes they'll want to own it, but they don't have their own infrastructure, so they'll ask us to make suggestions or set things up for them, and sometimes it lives on our own infrastructure. Typically, because we have done a lot of work for Google in the past, we often default to using Google Cloud for a lot of things. We do have services deployed in AWS, both internal and client work, and we have an odd service or two on Heroku, but I would say we're again, it depends on what the project is, but I'd say we're about 70%, 60 or 70% on Google Cloud and 20 to 30 on AWS with a few odd things right in here. For example, we have a couple of clients who have their own, Rackspace setups, so we just get an SSH key and we've got to deploy. We do some work for the Home Office as well, and they have their own government cloud, like the G Cloud thing, which goes through a service I can't remember, but that's their own access and everything. So it changes.
I think Google Cloud is a perfect choice. It's got a lot of services. AWS is always, I've used EC2, and because it was a bit confusing when I started using it. Then I started using Elastic Beanstalk, which made which was a help to use EC2 and S3 and stuff like that. Then I think I used EC2, Elastic Beanstalk, and S3 Bucket and Route 53 only from AWS. Google Cloud, long time ago when I was in uni, I used, I think, App Engine and Compute Engine, I guess. And then for the side projects that I have like 2 side projects. I'm using DigitalOcean, but then I'm looking forward to learn about like Lambda functions and serverless stuff, because companies tends to go to that way because it's cheaper, a lot cheaper than. Obviously.
It can be a lot cheaper. It's not always a lot cheaper.
Exactly. I think because of big projects, I've never used that. I've heard it, but I think is for big project it pays for long pays in a long run, but small projects not really.
It's different. Different because especially when you're paying on demand, you can isolate the parts of your infrastructure and your service that are going to be high usage versus low usage, and you can definitely make cost savings. And as far as maintenance goes, it can be a lot cheaper because like you can have people working on, all the different, same advantages of microservices. If you can separate out so one person messing something up doesn't break everything, so you get easier maintenance. But yeah, so that leads me on to the next question I had, which is still on DevOps. Do you have any experience with any like CI or CD servers like Travis or Jenkins or Circle?
Travis CI. I have for side project. I'm using Travis CI, which includes the YAML file. It's style CI as well for styling. TalkTalk was using Bamboo, which was a pain really, but I didn't like Bamboo, but I've experienced with that one as well because it goes with Jira and it logs out everything in Jira. With I think Travis and Jenkins, I have never experienced with that one yet.
You're better off avoiding Jenkins. It's okay. It's just really, really ugly and such a pain. Such a pain to set up. But Bamboo, I'm not a fan of Bamboo either. We do use Jira internally, but a long time ago we tried to get into Bamboo, but it never.
It's actually I've done something because they were using really old Bamboo, and one of the problems that I had in TalkTalk when I was pushing something, one of my commit messages included emoji, and then it broke down everything.
Really?
It's one of the emoji Unicode stuff that they it wasn't compatible, so it just came out and it broke everything. So I had to use Git Interactive to remove all the messages, and then it came back to life again. It was really scary for me when I done that. But
jeez, I can imagine.
But that's why I never used it. I didn't like Bamboo from that moment. It happened.
No, I can imagine. Wow. don't use emoji in Bamboo. I hope they fixed it since, but
yeah, but they never upgraded. They never upgraded.
Yeah, are they hosting their own?
Yeah, they're hosting their own. It was really painful to. So they hired a principal developer who came up with the idea of micronizing the app. So he was using Docker we were trying to micronize piece by piece and glue it together at the end, because they didn't want to start from scratch, because it's a huge project.
Yeah.
So I was there before redundancy to build a customer, like the customer enters their input, their credentials and username and password, and trying to sign up. We built that one before redundancy, and we were using Docker, and then they migrated from the CI/CD was Azure and Azure Portal, which was really ugly as well, but that's what we're using, and Microsoft Azure.
Yeah. So, and on our side, we moved a lot of stuff to Circle CI recently. Well, recently, last year or so, which is quite good. The problem is it's quite expensive and it can be very, very slow as well. But it's very easy to get going, Circle.
Comparing to Travis, you mean?
Yeah, because I mean it is like it sometimes takes a long time for their runners to actually start running. You know, so it can be like, especially if you're using it for all your deployments, you could be waiting, a long time before you see the new version live. And since we do work quite quickly, and there's a lot of projects in the business, waiting an hour for a deploy can sometimes mean that the QA has moved on to another job. So that's right. So that's quite so. So I'm looking at like GitHub Actions at the minute as a possible.
That's a new one. Yeah, as well.
Because we already pay for our team and on GitHub, and Actions are included. We're not using them, and we're paying a lot for Circle separately. So if we can combine them, that'll be good. The finance team will like me more.
Yeah, I'm learning about that as well, because I knew that came a few months ago, GitHub Actions, which is
they seem quite good. I ported one of our projects over last week, and it was reasonably smooth. It's quite quick. Like GitHub gets up and running very, very quickly and runs the tasks much faster than Circle. It's a bit different and a bit more awkward, but that's maybe just because the way I'm used to Circle at the minute.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to spend more time on it.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So we'll go back to talking to about the kind of ownership of projects and leading projects a bit. What we'd love in this role is someone who's happy to get in there and represent the tech and represent the tech team, and be saying, that's not a good idea, that's a great idea, here's the tech you can use, here's the tech you shouldn't use, and solve some problems early on. Because we are an agency, a lot of projects start with very loose kind of parameters, because the client will come and say, oh, I want to build something that does this for something, and they don't have much beyond that. Sometimes they'll come with a full brief that'll dictate everything, but sometimes it's very loose. So having a team member who can go in and go, yes, that's great. We were looking at this library on this platform that does this, that does that, and blah, 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 helps out. And then from that, kind of helping the producers and accounts kind of work out the cost and the scoping and how long it's going to take and who would be the best people to work on it. Do you have any experience in that kind of aspect of the build, be it estimation or scoping or anything, and can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, in the current company, because it's something we'll be doing ongoing projects. Not really, but because I was working Talk. They were trying to come up with the technologies to rebuild the project, and I was there to say what kind of libraries we need to use, or we had the problems with the API. Sometimes we needed to call 4 or 5 different API calls to get one result. And then I came up with the Azure function and DevOps stuff, functional programming to make the job faster. But I know from the experience in first company that I was, I usually picked up because the project that we were doing was kind of small and customers don't know what they really want at the beginning. I thought to organize everything from the beginning and pick up the best tech stack, because most of the project is gonna grow, and using the best tech stack is gonna help maintain the project better as well in the long run. I think in TalkTalk I was responsible to pick up the web components tech, which was a Stencil.js or Polymer, but I said Stencil because it was a huge thing back in time. And then from Angular, because they were trying to migrate from Angular.js to Angular 7 or React, and I was in a team where we decided to pick up React because it was better to work with rather than pick up a whole framework. So and then other than that, then I said Google Cloud Platform for DevOps, but they decided to go with Azure. They didn't really like it because the principal decided. He said it's not really mature enough, which I disagree. I think Google is a huge. He's got a animal platform. He's got like everything in it. It's a huge thing. And
that's a bit of a laugh if you think Gmail has only been running on Google Cloud Platform for as long as Gmail has been Gmail. So maturity is different people have different opinions. So,
I think he had different opinion. But I use Google, and it's easier to use for me than AWS and Azure. Azure, I don't know if you've used it. It's the portal is so confusing. I think we spent maybe half a sprint once to just figure out everything, how to give permission to developers, how to create projects in there, and even bills are really high in there. Company was charged for one functional one Azure function that we built for $400 for a month. It was really expensive.
Yeah, I mean. One of the things I've always liked about Google Cloud Platform is if I need to give somebody access, I just give their email and what access they want, and it's done. Whereas AWS, for example, well, it's not so bad now. They have made it a lot better. But like even a year ago in AWS, and you having to establish IAM accounts and give individual permissions and everything, it's just like such a headache. Thankfully, I never had to get too involved with Azure. We did, when was it? I think it was iHeartRadio a couple of years ago. They needed everything of their work deployed on Azure. So there was a lot of work there. I didn't enjoy it.
I mean, I get you. Azure, it's really, it's a disgusting platform, to be honest. The interface is really hard. Other than
what
that,
I find really weird about the interface is that it seems to load several times, and I think this is all kind of Microsoft applications on the web. Is that they load and they load a different shell and then they load different components, and it seems to be, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, it doesn't seem like one application. It seems like loads of applications running on the same page. Yeah.
On that note, I was going to add to that. One of the things we were doing as well, kind of after every features or after every sprint, we had to gather with the stakeholders to describe and explain them what we were building. So most of them are not technical. So I was responsible to talk and create presentation to tell them how everything works and what we built, and in a simple language. So that's what I wanted to add.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a pretty difficult thing to do sometimes. Yeah. Trying to get that across.
They get bored really fast, like 20 minutes, and they get bored really fast.
But going on that, did you have to justify kind of the estimations or the time taken, in that to those kind of like non-technical stakeholders?
We had, but other than complexity with the task, yes. So they wanted like features, and we had to think about how to subtask them and talk to the PO to estimate the time. I wouldn't come up with this estimation, mostly because PO wanted to come up with himself, but we were telling him how long it's going to take for every task, and he would gather everything, add up and sum up everything together and give them back.
Okay, so you said complexity there. So you like doing planning poker or something that.
It's like we were using a Scrum and Agile, and then we come up with the points that it says. Yeah, so okay, this is gonna
1, 3, 5, 8 or the.
Yeah, and then if you would take maybe 8 story points, we would break it down to maybe like 2 subtasks to create a subtask to say, okay, this is going to take longer. But then PO wanted to push and get calculate everything together to tell the stakeholders how long it's going to take. But for every features, we would spend maybe 1 or 2 sprints mostly.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, we I'm a big fan of breaking things down by complexity. Unfortunately, since we are often dealing with the clients want X for this budget, and the producer who wants to go back with this budget, so they need a time. It's always difficult to take complexity points and turn them into weeks. It's But I do love breaking things down that way. It makes things so much easier to understand, and it's much better than just going 6 weeks.
That's one of the problems we have. Manager, so CEO wanted the website, like a new website. He gave them out of the blue. He said September is going to be ready, and September is gone in 2019, and he says June without even consulting with the other developers. He just put something out there, and then I don't think even June is going to be finished because we are 2/3 of the websites left already.
Oh wow!
And so it's something that he just gave something out to the CEO to make him happy, but it's not work. It doesn't work, and every time CEO gets angry because the project is not ready.
Awesome. I think we've very efficiently covered a lot of the questions I had written down there. So I'll talk a wee bit more about kind of what kind of work Rehab does. I know I touched on it a bit earlier. And then if you have any more questions, we'll just kind of go on from there. So, as I said earlier, we've been around for quite a while, and we've done a lot of work for Google and everything over the last X number of years. But at the minute, we do kind of 3 main types of work. So one is the kind of traditional web agency work. So it's kind of websites, campaigns, the more normal stuff. Our second kind of, I say that at the minute most of that work's Python, Django, React, just out of the need for the team. So that's one of the reasons I ask how you feel about Python is even if no new projects are built in Python Django, we'll still need to maintain existing ones. So having a bit of knowledge and being able to dive in and change or edit things, or if you're eager to learn to dive in, learn Django and everything, that's always handy. Then our second kind of group of work is all around voice and conversation. So that's Google Home Assistant, or Google Home, Google Assistant, Alexa, Facebook Messenger. We're also doing some stuff with Nike on SMS messaging as well as WhatsApp and stuff like that. So it's kind of those automated conversations or bots. So that most of that is built on our own platform, which we built internally, which is at its core, it's Node.js kind of backend service. And we then also built a CMS service that powers it, which is again a React Python Django app, but it runs in Google Cloud with Firebase and Firebase functions powering certain aspects of it. So it's a bit of a beast, and it does our kind of conversational stuff. So that's kind of the second work, and then the third area of work that we do is around e-learning. Pardon me. So many years ago, we started working with Google on their Digital Garage, which is their kind of digital skills training for businesses. Then we worked with Facebook on building their similar one, which is e-learning portal or digital learning portal. I can't remember what it was called, but we've since handed both of those projects back to we worked in the Google project for 2.5 years and then handed it back to them, and they took it on with an internal partner. And then Facebook was the same. We worked there 2 years on their platform and then moved it back internally. Following that, we started partnering with banks and some other financial institutions to do like employee education. So we build like internal lesson plans, and we build out those kind of web lessons, interactive lessons for people learning about fraud and protecting the customers and all the stuff that they need to know to be, to get their next level of employment within the bank. And then that since went on. We now do some of that for the government as well, for the Home Office doing e-learning and certification. So that's kind of 3 areas. And then in between those, we do occasionally do